Welcome back. Another Tuesday night, another episode of the BBQ Pit MMA, UFC 279 here. I want to make a lot of people mad in this episode. I have strict favorites. I play favorites when it comes to MMA sometimes. I try to be as practical as possible. Let me see if I could change this over really quick, change my Wi-Fi over so it doesn't hang up on us. But I try to be as, I'd say, in the middle as possible at all times when picking and when doing the picks and all that stuff. But there's just certain fighters I'll never pick against ever. Nate Diaz is my favorite fighter of all time. He is in the main event against Khamzat Chimaev this weekend. And I'll never pick against him. I like Khamzat. He is one of my favorite up-and-coming fighters. But I'll never go against Nate Diaz. He's a G. Stockton 209 all day. And I'll just never pick against him. That on top of, he's coming in. Khamzat's coming in at minus 1050, which I think is like probably one of, if not the biggest favorite in UFC history. Definitely one of. And I know why. I know why they're saying he's going to win. His fighting style, doesn't really match up well with Nate's. Nate's good at jiu-jitsu. He's good off his back. He's always been a cardio fighter, never been really a knockout, one-punch knockout. He'll normally have to put volume on, hit you with the body shots to kind of stop you. Whereas Khamzat has shown he's got knockout power. He's got dominant wrestling. He's strong, extremely strong for that weight class. As he's bullied people at 185 before. So him fighting at 170 is kind of mean, honestly. Not Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz can fight anybody, but like he's fighting guys like Li Jingliang and fucking what's the kid he fought last? Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns did pretty well against him, but still, these guys are little, man, and skill can only get you so far. And then once this guy just got a hold of you and his strength is too much, there's not really much you could do. So I give him a slight advantage, Khamzat, because he's got the wrestling advantage without a doubt. He's got the power in the striking. But the thing about Nate is he's really tough. He's got a great chin. He cuts pretty easily now at this point in his career. So, cuts might be an issue for this fight. But if they're not, and it's just him getting rocked for 4 or 5 rounds, I think he can withstand it. And I think if he can put on more volume than Khamzat can and can be fresher in the 5th round than Khamzat is, he's got a good chance. And then let me pitch this to everybody. I know everybody's heard it before. Me and my boy Ian came up with this the night Leon Edwards won the belt. So, they came out with this theory a week after, the weekend after, the Monday after, whatever. We came up with this the night he won. As soon as he knocked out Kamaru Usman, I texted my buddy and I said, could you imagine? Nate Diaz beat Khamzat Chimaev. They give Nate Diaz the rematch with Leon Edwards in London for the belt. 5-round fight now, not a 3-round fight. He doesn't run out of time. He beats Leon Edwards. Nate Diaz finally wins UFC gold at welterweight. Guess what his first title defense is? Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz 3 is his first title defense, the return of Conor McGregor. That would be the most epic series of events to ever happen in the UFC. Ever. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it right now. Nate Diaz, a journeyman, people call him a journeyman, who has been in the UFC for years, early 2000s, Ultimate Fighter champion, comes in. Every time you think he's down and out, he wins. Every single time. They had him against Michael Johnson. They thought he was down and out. Michael Johnson was up and coming. Beats Michael Johnson. Calls out Conor McGregor. They give him Conor McGregor on short notice. Short notice, Nate Diaz. He's going to get knocked out. What happens? Not surprised, motherfuckers. Anytime he is challenged with he's got no chance, he comes out victorious. He comes out and he surprises everybody every single time. And I know people are like, well, what about Masvidal? What about Leon Edwards? Nobody in either one of those fights, nobody really said he's got no chance. Even with the George fight where a lot of people were on George's side and a lot of people thought George was going to win, nobody was saying Nate Diaz got no chance here. And Dana's not. Dana actually came to his defense a little bit and said, it's a fight game. Anything can happen, which is true. But a lot of other people in the media and fans of the MMA are coming out and saying he's got no chance against Khamzat. And it's just not true, man. And I'll tell you what, right here at the Barbecue Pit, we are picking Nate Diaz. We are behind him. We'll be behind him till the day he retires. And then if he wants to go off boxing, we'll be behind him boxing too. Because, like I said, he's one of – I think I like him so much because I resonate with him so much. Because I'm that type of guy where I'm just like, I don't really like people. I don't like having a conversation with strangers. It's not like – and he's the same way. He's fuck everybody. Unless you like him, unless you're cool with him. Because, Brandon Moreno, people like that, he's cool with. And he's got no reason to be cool with him other than the fact that he just, for some reason, likes those people. And that's how I am, too. For some reason, there's a group of people in this world I like. I can't tell you why. Maybe they did something. Maybe they didn't do something, but I like them. Everybody else, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Go fuck yourself. So that's why I like Nate Diaz. We'll add on, he's a third-degree black belt in jiu-jitsu versus Chimaev's purple belt in jiu-jitsu. He is a 3-time gold medalist in Swedish wrestling team that Nate Diaz does not have. So, again, power, Chimaev, wrestling, Chimaev, jiu-jitsu, Diaz, cardio, Diaz. So, I got the score 2-2. I'm going with my boy Diaz. Co-main event, Li Jingliang versus Tony Ferguson. I feel bad for Ferguson, man, because he's had a tough run at lightweight. He's going to move up to welterweight here, the division that he won the Ultimate Fighter in. And he hits a tough break with Li Jingliang, who's 19-7, never been knocked out in his professional career. 5 out of 7 has lost via decision. 10 wins via knockout, and he is 11-5 in the UFC. UFC wins include Santiago Ponzinibbio, great counter-striker. Muslim Sokolov, which was his last fight in July, who is a very unique, uses his kicks a lot, spin kicks, kind of taekwondo-ish striking style. And then he also has wins over Frank Camacho and Diego Lima, who are just really tough UFC veteran type of guys. His 3 most recent UFC losses are against Jake Matthews, Neil Magny, and Khamzat Chimaev. Jake Matthews, good grappler, very well-rounded fighter. Neil Magny, at that point in his career when he beat Li Jingliang, was progressing in his striking, but predominantly a grappler. And then Khamzat Chimaev, how did he beat Li Jingliang? He took him down, he held him down, and he beat him up. Tony Ferguson's not that type of guy, man. Tony Ferguson, if he gets you on the ground, he's going for submissions. He's not down there to hold you down. He's not down there to overpower you. And that's kind of what Li Jingliang has shown that his kryptonite is the guy that are willing to take him down, hold him down, beat him up, make him tired. And, maybe Ferguson changed his approach. He is a former 2-time NCAA All-American wrestler and a national champion in 2006. So this is not NAIA. This is not NCAA. But, he does have a wrestling background. His last 7 fights, Ferguson, were on a pay-per-view card. Biggest UFC wins, Donald Cerrone, Anthony Pettis, Kevin Lee, RDA, and Edson Barboza. Easily way better than the guys that Li Jingliang has beat, even though they are in different weight classes. He's 15-1 in the UFC prior to going on his 4-fight losing streak that he is on right now. He lost to Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, Beneil Dariush, and Michael Chandler, getting knocked out, with the only 2 knockouts of his career getting knocked out by Gaethje and Chandler. So, 4-fight losing streak, 2 times he got knocked out in that time. He, his chin's going. He's getting older. It's sad to say Tony Ferguson is one of my favorite fighters, hands down. Not to the point of Nate Diaz, not to the point where I'm going to pick him, where I blatantly think he's going to get ragdolled in this fight. I think this fight's going to be a strictly stand-up match or stand-up fight, and Li Jingliang has the power advantage, man. He's going to be able to throw more volume, more power in his strikes, and maybe Tony Ferguson is able to withstand it. And if that's the case, maybe he gets a win. But getting knocked out in 2 out of his last 4 fights, 2 out of his last 4 losses, not looking good. So I'm going to go Li Jingliang. Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez, really good fight. Odds are closer in this fight than they were for either of the 2 previous fights we just spoke about, which is fucking bizarre to me. But we'll jump into why right now. Rodriguez, 16-2, never been finished in his pro career. Maybe that's why. He lost a split decision to Victor Arena in 2017. That was his 5th professional fight. And then he lost a unanimous decision to Nicholas Dalby in 2020. which was his fourth UFC fight. He is 6-1 in the UFC with wins over Kevin Lee, Preston Parsons, Mike Perry, Dwight Grant, Gabe Green, and Tim Means. He's got 8 wins via knockout, 4 wins via submission. He has good kickboxing, knockout power, but doesn't have much of a ground game. He's got good takedown defense, which he showed in his last few fights. But, I mean, if the fight does get to the ground, he doesn't show really good jiu-jitsu skills. He doesn't show good getting back to his feet skills. So it could be tough for him there. And to add to that, he's never been challenged by somebody that's as good on the ground and that has as much of a size advantage that Holland does. Holland comes into this fight with a 3-inch height and a 7-inch reach advantage. So as a striker, 7 inches of reach is fucking clutch. As a grappler, 7 inches of extra limbs to throw over and tie up, or just it's amazing for Kevin Holland to have that much reach on this guy. And coming into this fight, he's a second-degree black belt in Kung Fu and a first-degree black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. It's just like, man, he's going to have the advantage on the ground and on the feet, and he just got the physical attributes advantage. Maybe he's not as fast. You know, you say, oh, this guy's faster than this guy, but until they get in there and start moving around with each other, there's no science to who's faster than who until they get in there and you can see, oh, he's landing the punches first. He's faster. So you never know, but Kevin Holland is the longer. He is the taller. He is the better grappler, and he is the better striker. More powerful, question mark. Faster, question mark. But, I mean, all those other attributes kind of, I think, solidify the fact that Kevin Holland's probably going to come in. He's going to piece him up. He's going to land some good strikes. If the fight goes to the ground, it's over. Before it even hits the ground, it's over. So I'm going to go Kevin Holland. This is another one where Kevin Holland can fight anybody, and I'm going to pick Kevin Holland. I love the nickname. I love the fighting style. I love the fact that he'll get in there and talk to people, even if he likes it. Jacare Souza, he's in there talking to him in a nice way. He's like telling him good punches and shit. And then 10, 15 seconds after he tells him good punch, he's knocking him unconscious off his back, with punches off his back, with his foot in the air, throwing punches and knocking him out. I mean, this guy is fucking incredible. I'll never pick against him. In this fight, I think rightfully so. I'm going to go rightfully so. I'm going to go Kevin Holland. I always throw a prelim fight in there, so I'm going to go Jake Collier, Charles Barnett. Again, this is a tough one for me, man. It's a tough one. I'm always going to pick Charles Barnett. He's coming in at a plus 340, which does not sound good for me. But I think once we get into why, I don't know. Collier's coming into this fight 6-inch height, 3.5-inch reach advantage. I don't think that plays much into this fight, though, because Charles Barnett is a heavyweight and he is 5'9". So, I mean, he's coming in with a height and a reach disadvantage to pretty much everybody he's fought in his career. And he's 22-8. So, he doesn't have a bad record. And he comes in with a size advantage in every fight that he's ever been in, probably. Barnett's a third-degree black belt, third dan black belt in Taekwondo. He is 1-2 since joining the UFC. He got submitted by Brendan Rothwell. Then he had that spin kick knockout over John Vellante, the first time I've ever seen a heavyweight land and knock out his opponent with a spin kind of axe kick to the head. Let's see what else he's got. Oh, and then he got a technical decision loss to Martin Boudet, which story come out. I just want to point this out just really quick. Story just came out. I don't know if it came out after the fight or if it just came out today, but I just read the story today that apparently Charles Barnett's wife was dealing with some sort of illness in the months leading up to his last fight against Martin Boudet. He left for camp. She was fine. I don't know if she had left the hospital or if she was still in the hospital, but she was doing good. There was no worries. So that's why he left for the fight. He went to fight week, and then I guess a few days before the fight, he was called with news that his wife had passed, which I'm sure anybody out there that's just hearing this story can say that story is enough that would make me not compete in a professional event. I don't know. It hasn't happened to me. I don't presume it would happen to me because I'm not a professional athlete. But if it did, I would assume the vast majority of citizens or professional athletes would say, they would have to pull out of the fight. He claimed that his reason for not pulling out of the fight is because he sees the way the UFC views guys that pull out of the fights, and that's sad. That's honestly really sad that the guy kind of came out and said he was scared to pull out of the fight. He didn't know what it would do for his job. So that's kind of really sad for the UFC, but it is kind of warm-hearting to hear that Dana White reached out to him after the fight. He told him that he should have backed out of the fight, and I guess he kind of did some things that made Chris Barnett feel good and give Dana White a shout-out. So shout out Dana White for treating Chris Barnett. He always does, though. I mean, everybody's always so critical of Dana White, but he is always, in every situation where there has been tragedy with somebody on his roster, where, the Walt Harris thing, this thing with Charles Barnett, there's been a bunch of different things that have happened where Dana White has shown, he backs his employees, he backs his fighters, and he has your back. So I'm sorry, I got a little off track there. We're going to get right back into Barnett. Prior to getting into the UFC, this is what also is phenomenal. Prior to getting into the UFC, he has wins over Walt Harris, Frank Tate, Rashawn Jackson, and he has a win over Jonathan Ivey in his professional debut. This guy had not fought professionally yet at all. And his first professional fight, he fought a guy that was 33 and 38 at the time. 33 and 38. The guy had 71 professional fights to his name and fought a guy making his professional debut and lost that fight. I love you, Jonathan Ivey. You should have never took that fight. You should have never been in that fight, and you damn sure shouldn't have lost that fight. Shout out to Chris Barnett, though. Good win for Chris Barnett. And like I said, size advantage going against Jake Collier, I don't see it. Jake Collier, I think this might play a little bit of a part into it, too. I hate to say it, but Jake Collier has been win-loss since joining the UFC in 2014. He had a 3-year layoff from 2017 to 2020. So you think, superstitions, win-loss, it's going to go away. No. He leaves on a loss. He comes back on a win. Since being back, he is win-loss. Until this most recent fight where he has a loss via decision to Andrei Arlovski. So he's got a size advantage, and he's coming off a loss. I hear you. I get it. I get why. They're superstitiously or just anything like that you would see. He's definitely a better grappler than Barnett. Will he be able to get Barnett to the ground? I don't think so. I think Barnett's going to be able to land his striking standing up. And I think we have another upset on our hands because Chris Barnett takes him out. I got Chris Barn. 2 fights that are going to be on the main card that I did not preview here. Irene Aldana versus Macy Chasen and Johnny Walker versus Ian Cutelaba. Also on the prelims, Hakeem Duwandu versus Julian Erosa. Dennis Telulin versus Jamie Pickett. Norma Dumont will be taking on Danielle Wolfe. Chad Engelheiner will be taking on Etilang Heatley. Melissa Martinez going up against Elise Reed. Darian Weeks going up against Joanne Lanise. And then finally to start the card at a minus 660 favorite, Jailton Almeida taking on Anton Tukalay. Tukaji? I don't know how to fuck you say his name, man. I never do good with Middle Eastern names. Never. Even Johan, Lanisi, whatever. I can't say it, man. I can't. If somebody said it, I could be able to say it for about 2 or 3 days. After that 2 or 3 days, the pronunciation just floats out of my brain. It's gone. So stay tuned. Coming up, we'll be doing our last NFL preview of the season. Thursday night is the start of the NFL season. So we're just in time. Make sure you stay tuned. Until next time, stay barbecued. You guys know what the fuck it is.